Hey,
Yo,
how's everybody doing?
outstanding.
Doing great. Was wondering if anybody was going to kick this off.
Speaking of kickoff, we're getting pretty damn close, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Nice segue, Corey.
You
Real
like that?
close.
DY, aren't you lucky enough to have a week 0 game?
Yes, I'm fortunate enough to have a week 0 game. Sincerely mean that. Like, it's really cool to get to start already. I woke up and it was the first Monday game week of the season. I was excited. Woke up with a little bit more energy and fired up, ready. I mean, it's only Monday, but I was ready to go think
You might
about
want to pace
football.
yourself there, DY.
What's that? No. I like this pace.
Well, hey, I got a question. This is really for Corey because I know Corey, you're nuts. When do you start packing? What day do you start packing?
The night before.
Oh, bullshit! Get out of here!
Wow,
Swear
that
to
is
God.
shocking.
Swear to God. I am
Excuse my language, but that is baloney.
I am not crazy when it comes to packing. I really am not. I have my routine. I know what goes in there, so I just do it on Thursday night.
Oh, I'll be doggone. I never would have bought that.
Well, you think I was one of those
Okay.
guys like packed on Monday, unpacked on Wednesday, repacked on Thursday just to make sure?
Oh yeah.
No, I mean I used to have like a list, like a checklist, but now I don't use it anymore. So
Okay.
What about you
Stuff
two,
goes
Tom?
in the bag. I'll be lucky if I pack the morning I fly out. I'm kind of notorious, DY. You kind of know me. I
Yep.
forget stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But
That's what not to do for everybody.
I don't want to be a robot, man. So I don't do lists and all that other stuff. So I kind of just I wing it every week. I wing it.
We know that.
That's good.
Yeah, truer words were never spoken. I would like everybody to stop talking because we have a special guest who we're very excited about, but he's not a first-time guest, is he?
Very excited.
Yeah, he's back. Mr. Andy Warner, headlines judge extraordinaire from the Big 12 Conference. How are you?
I'm very well until you guys start, being mean to me. Then I won't be that great.
Oh my God! Is this
Well, you sound great, Andy. So that's good news.
You fixed
Sounds
that just
better?
in the nick of time.
Yep. You sound fantastic.
Great.
So, I mean, you are just beaming with enthusiasm. I can hear it in your voice. Are you ready for the season or what?
I don't have a week 0 game, but I am definitely ready for the season. After we all go through all these summer meetings and clinics, it's like we're begging for the start of the season. So I think we're all in the same boat at this point.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Well, so you don't have a week 0 game this year, but I believe you had a week 0 game last year. And I believe that is this game. Is that correct?
That is this game, yeah.
Wait, hold on, Brandon. Hold on. Time out. Before you do that, we have to make an announcement. Starting September VSGs, we are back to Tuesday nights. So everybody who loves Monday nights, sorry. Everybody who loves Tuesday nights, congratulations. So yeah, starting in September. All right, let's go.
Here we go. All right, Andy. So you're down in sunny Southern California for this game. Are you up top or down bottom, or how do you want to set this up, man?
I am at the bottom, and yes, it was sunny California. I think the high that day was like 92 degrees, and everyone on my crew was complaining about the extreme heat. But
Aww.
it was 92
Poor
degrees.
guys.
So yeah. So I have a bunch of prima donnas on my crew, so we'll get that out of the way early. But yeah, this is we talk about formations and line of scrimmage fouls all the time as headlinesmen or headline judge and line judge. So, I wanted to at least start out with this play just to, show the importance of these line of scrimmage fouls and how we have to be 100% on these fouls. So if you go back to the sideline view, and actually that little wing back that just kind of shifted, or that back that's now dragging across the middle of the field, he was up on the line of scrimmage. If you go to I don't know if you can fast forward and rewind or not, so I may have to wait until it gets back.
Talk it out, and then we'll let everybody kind of get the HD look at it, and then we'll go screen share where we reduce quality, but we can control the video a little bit better. So keep rolling, man. You're doing great.
Okay, so basically we have trips that start out at the top, and the guy that was the only receiver on the line of scrimmage ends up shifting off the line of scrimmage into the backfield. So, I'm just trying to show the importance of after someone shifts, we got to make sure that we could start out with a legal formation, but after the shift, we have to make sure that we're still legal. So, unfortunately, this guy shifts into the backfield, and no one else steps up onto the line of scrimmage. So we have too many men in the backfield. Just because we're on the opposite side of the field where some of this action may occur does not really absolve us from responsibility. So sometimes something may happen with our partner, and we have to pick them up and be able to put a flag down if we have a legal formation or whatever. And kind of piggybacking off of that, we kind of call DOF and false start all the way up from our side all the way up to the snapper. And but like I said, if your partner runs into an issue where he doesn't recognize something, then we'll go all the way across the line, and we'll pick him up if we have to. So
yeah, so we'll just let everybody understand what we're talking about. The video cuts in a little bit late, I guess. So what you're saying is, if I'm correct, we have this man off the line, and this man was on the line, like up here somewhere. Is that what we're saying?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, the video just, it cuts in late, but he's shifting. So he shifted from a position up here on the line. Now he's off the line, and they didn't correct this. But I mean, don't we always say, let's just make this legal? I hear a lot of people say that. So why didn't we just make this legal? It's early in the second quarter. It's a blowout game. So, I mean, yeah, why didn't we just make this legal?
We have some leniency in terms of making formations legal when they may or may not be 100% to the level of what is easy to make it legal. But if we have someone who's more than a yard off the line of scrimmage, so we're snapping at 42-yard line here, and both of these guys are more than a yard off the line of scrimmage, so we can do them a favor and go ahead and put them up on the line of scrimmage, even though they're really not, because they're more than that yard off the line of scrimmage.
Okay. And so what's interesting here is it's almost an optical illusion, but there's actually two players back here. There's a running back next to the quarterback. For those that perhaps couldn't, if you're like me, I was like, wait a second, there is only 4 in the backfield, but no, there's actually 2 players back there. Yeah, I mean, you just can't. We have all these line of scrimmage philosophies with alignment, but there's at times we just got to call it what it is, right?
Yeah, and Michael even just made a comment about the right tackle being pretty far back as well. And this is definitely something that if we haven't warned him earlier on about, then we need to get a warning in, because it's almost encroaching on, an automatic foul when he's that far back. I do know that it was brought to our attention that the powers that be thought that the tackle was a little too far back as well throughout the game. So,
yeah.
Hey, Andy, let me ask you a question. So, because that's interesting that you would throw an illegal formation from across the field, which is what you did, which is fine. So then if we talk about that tackle, is there a distinction between throwing an illegal formation with the wideouts who are clearly off versus your judgment of the tackle being too far off. Where do you draw the line, or if it's a foul, it's a foul? I don't know
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No, that's a great question. Like receivers, when they're flexed like that, it's pretty easy for us to see whether they're more than a yard off the line of scrimmage. But in terms of whether a tackle's face mask is getting a piece of the rear end of the snapper or whatever, we are not going to go cross formation and throw on that. We're just talking about pretty obvious in-your-face illegal formations that we're not looking through a whole bunch of players to try and determine whether a tackle is getting a piece of the snapper.
Gotcha.
Same thing with defense offside, or is that a little looser? Are you just working the defensive linemen or potential walk-up linebackers on your side of the ball, or can you hop the ball there too?
We are, but like I said a little bit ago, like when it comes to defensive offside or even false start, if our partner, we're going to take a heartbeat and give them every opportunity to call stuff on their side of the snapper, or from the snapper to all the way to their widest guy. And if they don't, then we have to go cross formation and pick the false starts and the DOF stuff as well.
Okay. Awesome. So, I mean, as this play takes place, so you throw your flag straight up, right? So we're getting ready for the season, throw your flag straight up. And I mean, it's easy just to start thinking about a lot of different things here. Do you have any tips about, you've got this line of scrimmage foul simultaneous with the snap, and now you've got to keep, you got to keep officiating, as we always talk about. So how do you remember, or what tips do you have for how you remember what you're going to report, and then how you keep officiating? Because you got to go to your next progression.
Yeah. So, I don't, from a tip perspective, I mean, it's just a matter of, working on this stuff and all the scrimmages that we have and the practices, because all those snaps are valuable snaps. So we can't just go out to our scrimmages and kind of just take those snaps for granted. So even if you have something like this, I mean, you're going to throw your flag and you have to mentally bank, what your foul is. And just like you said, we still have certain things that we need to now carry on in terms of progressions to finish the play. I think maybe the quarterback kind of comes to my side a little bit. So we need to, when the quarterback's coming to our side, it's very rare that he's going to throw all the way across his body to the other side of the field. So I start almost feeling like there's going to be receivers coming towards my sideline to try and be available for that quarterback.
Yeah. So interesting topic. So when you start to feel this is, the yellow arrow is, quote, your key. But I mean, that's really pass protection. So when you start to feel this breaking down, are you looking where? I mean, you also have probably a thought about, potential IDP on a play that breaks down. So how do you do this when you feel the quarterback start to kind of scramble out towards your side?
To be honest with you, in terms of IDP, when I'm starting to feel quarterback pressure coming to my side, I know I'm completely off IDP. I'm going to rely on my offside wing to really pick that up as the play evolves to my side, and vice versa. So I don't really have anything to do with IDP. Initially, kind of clear my my original key, making sure he doesn't go low or try to release on a check down route and get held. But as that player or the defender gets further and further in the backfield, like when he's threatening the quarterback, I know the center judge and referee are going to help me out with offensive hold there. So I try to transition into maybe someone dragging it across the belt or other receivers that may be in my area that I can help out with.
Yeah. Perfect.
So as this play, kind of like as I was saying, the quarterback comes to my side. So now he's looking for two receivers down my sideline. And, I've thrown my flag and I have to be able to bank the information that I'm still going to report to the referee. But now we've got a potential for a sideline catch, defensive pass interference, or a receiver even stepping out of bounds and coming back in, even though that's not my key. So, I mean, there's a whole multitude of things that we've got to continue to be ready to officiate.
You know, and I mean, you can see that your head in this case snaps right to the sideline right here. And I don't know if you can talk about, like, you know, why didn't you try to, you know, move down so that you were closer to this? What, you know, wouldn't you want to, like, of course I'm asking a question with my tongue in my cheek, but I mean, what is going through your mind in terms of this catch mesh point and, you know, your lack of movement?
Yeah, so I mean, at the snap, I'm starting with my toes on the sideline. So you can probably see my left foot starting to take a little jab step back away from the sideline because I'm starting to feel potential for pressure. You know, I don't want to try to gain a whole bunch of depth when the quarterback's like right at the sideline, which you'll see another play down the line where I end up not creating as much depth as I would have liked to. But so I started to create a little bit of depth when I started to feel pressure. But then when the pass is released, we need to realize that those receivers are coming towards our sideline. And instead of being, you know, egregious in our movement, and kind of like you were saying, when the play's about to happen, we don't have the opportunity to step up back towards the sideline. So from that position, we can certainly still see foot down in bounds, all that stuff. So really what we want to do is just, you know, be quiet with our movement and be able to, you know, take a snapshot of the play that's actually happening without moving.
Yeah, so we want to think about too. So I know we have a flag, and then, you know, I don't know, man. And Corey, I want to ask you, because I noticed this. So we've got an incomplete pass, and we have our deep official here going to his wrist. But somewhere in this mass of humanity is a player wearing a white jersey. So I know we're going to, you know, keep the time of the game, but how do we prioritize what to do when we've got players in opponents' benches? And look, line of scrimmage guy has a flag, so that's probably his priority. Although maybe you can talk about too, Andy, you know, what you're thinking with your body movement here. Yeah, I mean, we have multiple officials on the field for a reason, and I want the deep officials to think about perhaps getting a little more aggressive into this bench area. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, for me, that's priority number one. Whenever you see, you know, a team with the wrong color jersey going into the opponent's bench, that's got to be priority one. I mean, if I can't run at the same time as pushing a button on my watch, then I need to get a little bit better at that. So, I mean, we have enough backups with the clock, and I'm like the fourth backup. Like the moment that we have to depend on my wristwatch, we're probably screwed anyway. So, you know, I do that out of habit. I know sometimes it does help, but that's in a situation like this, you have to prioritize, and that getting that player out of that area is got to be priority 1 through 5 at that point, because only bad things can happen.
Yeah, and really it should be a priority for both of us. Like, you know, that's a thing that happens sometimes is we'll have these mechanical breakdowns in terms of finishing the play all the way and getting a player out of an opposite team's bench just because we have a foul that we're trying to process through our mind. So, you know, ultimately, in a perfect situation, I would have liked to have closed distance as well and at least just had a better visual of that player on the bench until he came out before I went and told the referee what I had.
I know on a play like this as a side judge, this may be a play where, and people may be, look, this may not be the right. I'm not giving anyone advice. This may not even be the right thing. People say, "What is wrong with this dude?" I may not even stop and give an incomplete signal. Honestly, I may, because you can see this ball is clearly going to be incomplete. I may just start running towards that area just to make sure I got an eye on this dude, and if I need to get in there, get in there. But I don't care about stopping and giving the incomplete signal and killing the clock. I don't care about any of that stuff because that dude's safety is paramount over my signals that everybody already knows what I'm signaling anyway.
And the watch on your wrist.
Well, I don't do that, so I wouldn't even comment on that.
Still.
I don't even do that.
Cool.
Wait, hold on. One more thing. So, Andy, so play is over. You go and report your foul. Do you go check with your partner across because you're quote unquote throwing on his players? do you go check with him, or you just go straight to the referee and say we have too many players in the backfield?
I definitely do not go and check with him because I had players in that are not meeting the qualifications to have a legal formation. So obviously, like I said, I'm not throwing on a tackle on his side or anything like that where you would think you would maybe need to verify with someone or whatever. This is like obviously 5 players in the backfield. And in my mind, as I'm going to the referee, I'm just figuring he had something else going through his mind, whether it was dealing with the coach or just literally wasn't focused or whatever. But when we have, 5 players that are not within like the interior formation that
Right.
are in the backfield, then we're going to have a foul.
Gotcha.
And then that, to me, is an interesting. Does anything happen between you and your partner, line of scrimmage official? Let's say perhaps on some rare occasion, maybe he didn't have this as a foul. Would you then, say, look, dude, during the week or maybe in the pregame next week, talk about that and say, what do we, are we on the same page here or not? I mean, how does that go?
I mean, to be honest with you, after, we go through and we look at the film together, on our own, and then we talk about what we've seen and stuff like that. Obviously, like if my partner throws an illegal formation in any game and I don't have a flag down on it, then I'm starting to wonder where all those backs were in the formation. So that's one of the first plays that I would go and review by myself after the game, and that's exactly what he did. And then we just had a conversation where he said, I just missed it.
Yeah. And it's good self-evaluation, but I think anytime we have fouls like this where we would, whether it's a snap infraction or something like this, where we really kind of expect both line of scrimmage officials to have flags, it's probably a really good idea to have just a quick discussion about it during the week or before the next game, so that we make sure that whatever happened in our process, whatever breakdown we experienced, we can just shore up. And the only reason for that would be because who knows what's going to happen to perhaps produce another breakdown. But if we can kind of shore up what produced this breakdown, then our risk to completely missing the foul just goes way down.
For sure. Especially when it's on the opposite side of the field. I could have certainly just kind of been checked out knowing that most of the receivers were on the other side. And then we wouldn't have a flag down at all.
18 minutes on illegal formation.
Nothing to play, right? I mean,
so
the line of scrimmage
there'll be
geeks
some
are
stuff we
loving
could talk about with deep officials coming up as well, I think.
Okay. Awesome. Good start. Let's go. Let's go here. We got a lot of looks. We got a lot of looks at this play. So just a screen pass, right? And eventually we have a fumble, and the fumble appears to go forward and out of bounds. There's a spot to look at, and then replays pop up, and there's a lot going on, man. So how did this all go down?
Well, I wanted to put this on because, we can kind of talk about crew communication in terms of, you and Tuta as referees, how you would prefer guys let certain things happen downfield, as well as, our philosophies when it comes to catch, no catch. And so I thought there was a couple things in this play that we could at least go over. So basically, as you see the receiver kind of come out of the backfield, I believe, or it's a little wide receiver screen, I don't know. But, basically he goes down to the ground and he's trying to receive this pass that's arguably right on his shoe tops. And so philosophically, if I'm not sure whether he's caught the pass or not, then, we're going to let it play out. And that's exactly what we have here, where we let it play out and then replay comes back and ends up telling us, oh yeah, we played a whole play that went like 30 yards downfield and it was really just an incomplete pass, But conversely, if it was the other way around and I would have thought it was incomplete and it really wasn't, then there's nothing we can really do about it, right?
Right.
So that's just a pretty good representation of one of our basic philosophies that we kind of apply when it comes to that. And then at the end of the play, we have this ball that's kind of punched out, and it is a forward fumble out of bounds. And so the referee makes a pretty good announcement, I think, letting everyone know exactly what we had if we were to move the ball back, if it was a complete catch. But the referee doesn't know any of this stuff is happening downfield, right, Brandon and Tuta?
No idea.
Yeah, so whether you're a deep official and you have a forward fumble that goes out of bounds, or a line of scrimmage official, whoever really is kind of taking the spot and the ruling official on that, we need to convey to the referee exactly what we have. So when everyone in the stadium sees us take the ball back to a fumble spot, and this is only a couple yards, so it doesn't make a big difference. But if we have a decent fumble forward that goes a number of yards, and then we just arbitrarily move it back without telling anyone in the stadium, it kind of raises concern for those people watching. So, whenever I try to go talk to the referee, I try to tell him stuff exactly how I would think I would do it if I was a referee, so that you can try to make it easy for them in terms of when they go hot with the mic. Obviously, I'm not a referee, so I'm not as articulate as Tuta. I wouldn't say Brandon. He kind of has a hard time with his announcements, but Tuta is just amazing on the mic. And so
Daniel, that wasn't a joke.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. I know. Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. Just making sure you understood that.
No, I did.
So, we just simply tell the referee we have a forward fumble out of bounds, and then when he goes hot with the mic, he can, let everyone know what happened.
So this is interesting, Andy, because so you say fall fumble out of bounds, and then we have this catch no catch situation. We're going to get paged pretty quickly. Then I, as a referee, I have to be disciplined enough to still ask the communicator, what are we reviewing? I can't just assume we're reviewing this fumble situation, because a fumble is something that can be reviewed in certain situations. And it'll be real easy for me to just make an announcement saying, the previous play is under review to determine if the ball was fumbled or some crap like that, which wouldn't even make any sense.
Well, just imagine if this ball was fumbled forward, towards the goal line, and then you have a whole nother mess of, recovery or whatever, so you're making a good point that really before you just start babbling on the mic, you would really like to know what they're potentially stopping it for.
Correct.
Well, that brings up a really interesting scenario if you want to play a what if the fumble goes, let's say it hits the pylon, and that's the first thing it hits, so that's, really then the result of the play is a touchback.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, perhaps, maybe replay doesn't have a great shot. Like this, obviously they did here, no question, great shots, good camera work and all that, but maybe they don't. What's interesting there is that the defense would really hope this doesn't get replayed, right? It's almost like a reversal of roles, and the offense would be that we want that as incomplete. We want that as incomplete. So that's really an interesting reversal of roles there based on the result of the play. What else came up on this play? If you look at the action right when the pass is almost caught or whatever, I mean, really on the field it was a catch, obviously, but the ball hits the ground. Okay, but when you look at this player who's trying to defend this play, there is some contact low to a blocker, which last year I believe nobody would care about if it's within 5 yards. This year it's a little wider, right? So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that contact there, but this is, there's a block by number 4, and then the defender kind of goes low and he's not able to make the tackle. So there's a lot going on here that we would have to process. I could easily perhaps see a situation where maybe somebody sees that as a low block and somebody else might have to communicate about what number 4 for the offense did. So this new rule can provide a new set of communication issues as well.
So Brandon, depending on what's going on, yeah, see, the quarterback had a little bit of pressure on him, but had he not had that much pressure, I could see as a referee, that would be the first place I would go, is in front of the receiver to pick up action. And from the end zone, low end zone behind the offense, that certainly looks like a low block to me.
Yeah.
And I may miss the contact by number 4. And I'm not giving my opinion on what number 4's contact does to the player, but I'm just saying I would miss the contact by number 4, and I would just see a player going low easily. I think I could easily see that.
Yeah, so I think this is a decent mechanics play to just talk about from a lot of different positions, because there is a lot of things going on. So let's see, what is our formation here that you guys see? Double.
Yeah. We did. Let's talk about that, Brandon, because we had a request from one of, I think Michael Cole was on here, as a matter of fact. And one of the things we used to really talk about initial keys on a lot of plays, and that was one of the requests that we had, that if we could just really quickly go through initial keys on a lot of these plays.
Yeah. So obviously we know that there's really nobody's pressed. They're playing off. So what we're about to talk about, we know we have our initial responsibilities, but we also know that we're kind of freed up when nobody's pressed. Is that all correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. But in terms of responsibility, we're going to have the deep wing down here responsible there. The deep wing up top is responsible there. Now, this is where things can get interesting on double. So, Andy, do you remember what side of the field you were on at this play?
Yeah, I'm on the bottom side, so I'd have the number 2 receiver.
Because what position do you work?
Headline judge.
Okay. So headline judge in double always has number 2 to his side, and we count outside in. 1 is the widest guy, 2 is the inside guy in this case. So then Mr. Daniel Young, you have to know where your line of scrimmage partners are, right? Because if we have double, you have to go to the line judge side, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is where this gets really interesting, in my opinion. This is how we start.
And line judge is in the backfield. Line judge has the back in the backfield.
Excuse me, thank you. Line judge is concerned with this back, and we know that line judges and headline judges on trips, we know that we really are interested in our line of scrimmage people. Andy talked about it in the last play. Let's reiterate, when backs, like let's say if this back goes away or just stays in and blocks, then we know that our freed up line of scrimmage man can really add a lot of value in the belt. I mean, depending on what type of play, develops. So let's go through this play now. We have interesting thing going on. So we have this double team block that sets up right here. So at this point, who's looking at this block?
That'd be deep wing. Should be deep wing, probably back judge too.
Yeah. I mean, do you have enough time, Daniel, to get over here yet or no?
I've been asking myself that question for about 15 minutes now.
I think you're going to say 15 years because
that's exactly what I thought he was going to say.
No, just watching this play, because I'm like, golly, that's a great place for me to get. But man, if I'm just being honest, it's really fast. Here's what I will say is, if we are just locked in on our receiver key over to the other side of the formation, the odds of us getting over to this area are almost non-existent. This is one of those reasons when we talk about, look, if your initial key is not really threatened at the snap, we really need to develop this ability to find something else to do. And for me as a back judge, most of the time that means just finding out what kind of play I'm going to officiate, because a lot of times and the time it takes for the receiver key to get threatened, I'm going to know lots of information. I may just know this is an RPO and I need to stay with him, but I could know if it's a pass play. I could know if it's a screen setting up. I could know if it's a run play. And this is the kind of play where those really small increments of time can become really beneficial. So I would hope that starting on the inside on the offensive line, I would feel these linemen because they leak really, really quickly, right? I mean, that center and right guard are gone. I'm going to feel them coming downfield really fast if I'm not just locked into the outside slot over there at the top of the formation. So I think I would get over in this general vicinity. Sometimes as back judge, when you start working these blocks on screen passes, I know that I have a tendency to go to the deepest guy, even though there's no threat right here. I can see the safety starting to come up. And so there's temptation, right there for me to stop and wait for that matchup to materialize. And it's also more inside, which we know as back judges, we're working with that inside out orientation. So I think it's great because there's work happening right now. So if I have the ability to scan that, and say, look, not smooth pursuit, but saccade that and say, look, there's not a threat. Let me go to what's next and get here. That's really, really impressive visual mechanics, in my opinion. And then now the challenge is going to be just to process all of the elements of this.
Well, let me ask you this, Daniel. Can you read screen? When you said the right tackle and the right guard, they leak out really. So if you can read screen, is it out of bounds to think that there is nobody over there but a wide receiver? So the ball has to go all the way to the outside. So you have to bring your eyes all the way to the outside area as well to find something to work. Is that too crazy to say? If you read screen.
Well, so here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that could happen is one of those linemen, like right now, there's not a linebacker on this play. There's zero people at the second level. So there's the potential, though, Tuta, for there to be linebackers at the second level that could potentially grab attention. So I wouldn't say I just want to categorically swing out to the outside with that receiver.
Sure. Yeah.
But on this play,
you map out defenders before in your pre-snap routine. Don't you map out your defenders?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, I try to.
Well, here, Daniel, what's really interesting here is the offense has a great setup for a screen pass because
it's beautiful,
showing blitz, and so what your point is this isn't always going to be this way on every screen pass. You could easily have a linebacker here. So what I heard you say, what I heard you say, which I think is a really interesting point to dive into, is come on, man. So like right here, there could easily be something happening with this player and a defender. It's the fact that the defense is blitzing here that creates this void. So here's what I think I heard you say. Yes, you're starting over here, but if you can read screen,
what?
But we're not going to start over there, Brandon, because receiver.
Sorry, you're starting in terms of
that's his quote unquote responsibility, but he ain't even looking over there.
That's what I mean when I say initial responsibility.
Yeah.
Correct.
Gotcha.
You read the play. You read the play, and you know that if there's trouble on your initial responsibility, you have to go there. The question I would have is if this was not a blitz and there was trouble here, trouble is just another term for a matchup. Are you going to stay there or are you going to transition out to where you think the screen pass is going?
I'd probably stay there.
Okay.
Only because I know that I have a short wing and a deep wing over here that are working these more perimeter blocks, and I'm just going to always kind of lean towards an inside orientation.
Yeah. I think I like that.
That's really interesting. So then our umpire needs to also know that because you guys are teammates at the second level, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So we have an umpire here that's really focused on this, and I understand that. Again, they kind of sold the farm here on defense with a blitz, but I think on most screen passes, there's going to be more things happening. So if we read screen as an umpire, this is really where we're most vulnerable in this area. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Leave this stuff to referee and center judge, I would say. and umpires can work faster out this way too, if there's players there.
I think the key point, though, is we going through all of this, and every play is different, and
Right.
it's very important to recognize
Dynamic.
the defensive formations, the defensive movements at the snap and right after the snap, so that you can understand and map out where are the potential hot spots and where do you need to transition to. Because really, the most important thing is to know, where am I looking next? I mean, where am I looking now is fine, but really, you need to know where you're going to look next.
Okay, so this year, if I'm not mistaken, we have this situation governing where low blocks can take place on the football field, correct?
That's correct.
Pretty much there. So we got to know that. We have to know that this is, if we're snapped on position 5 here, they can't block low out of side of position 3 pretty much. You know, and I mean, you guys figure out whatever that means in your game, I guess. But so this is outside of position 3. It's not like this is close. This is all the way over to position 1. So we have a lot of potentials here. You already said it. If there's less traffic around the quarterback, it's easy for the referee to get here now.
Mm-hmm.
It would be easy for the umpire to get here now.
Yep.
If the line of scrimmage is watching the guy catch the ball, which is, I mean, this ball's low, so we understand that that's the case, and then we laid out the philosophy earlier. We understand that. It's easy to get to this now. All right, Corey, you might have to save the day here. Even the back judge might get to this right now. And that really looks like somebody going through somebody to try to make a tackle, which we've already defined that as potentially a foul for a low block. Now, we don't have to get into all that, but the bottom line is this. If our deep wing, if Corey Luxer's not doing his job on this play and making a decision on if number 4 here push the guy through the guy's legs, then our crew's in trouble, right?
There should really be no reason that a deep wing doesn't. I mean, I love it when we get to the 30 or in, because we're parked on the goal line. We don't have to even contemplate moving at any stretch of the play. So we have the perfect view. We have no press. We can go wide vision. We should be able to see this take place from the snap, to see them where these players are going to converge. And so, I mean, yes, it should be in our wheelhouse all day long. And if we're depending upon the back judge getting over, the umpire getting over, or the referee being freed up with the quarterback, then we're not doing our job for the crew.
Yep. And so what we can't have here is deep wings watching this guy catch the ball. We just
Right.
can't have that. And that's not, it's easy to do that because we grow up watching the game. We kind of fall in love, with the game while we watch the game on TV, and TV watches the ball.
You're saying that again. Didn't we clear this up, that we don't fall in love with the game from TV? Didn't we clear this up?
TV makes this game a great product. Anyways.
Hey, Brandon.
Yo.
Real quick, from a line of scrimmage perspective, when we read screen pass, kind of like you're saying, we're going to start looking for blocks in and around where the potential receiver may receive the pass. But when it's this tight to the line of scrimmage, we have to get off blocks because we have to see whether that touches behind or beyond the line of scrimmage,
Great
Yeah.
point.
because we have active blockers blocking downfield. So it's really important that you don't get hung up on blocks when you have not only catch, no catch, which we understand by philosophy, we're going to just let this go. But we also really, we're the only person that's going to have an opinion on whether this is pass, touched behind or beyond with active blockers downfield.
Great point. Yeah. So we just all got to do our job here. Depending on what happens, we could easily have a flag with the new rule. This is outside of the legal zone. Somebody might see this right here, interpret that as a low block. He's working through that blocker to get to the runner, and so we just have to know, did 4 push him through that or not? Is he on his own? And we got to make that decision. And so based on what I just heard, line of scrimmage is really going to be focused on the ball because of what we talked about. Back judge might stop at the second level. Umpires caught up. So we just all got to do our job, and that's what this game's all about from an officiating standpoint. And I did fall in love watching it on TV. So,
Well, those of us who grew up in the South, football is in our blood. It's literally in our blood.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Don't you live in San Francisco?
I said to people, for us who grew up in the South, Andy, I'm not sure if you are familiar with the term "grow up," but that's
Oh, okay.
Hey, on this forward fumble spot, these always are interesting. They always kind of lose the ball before we think they do, right? You agree with that? With
Yeah.
his momentum going that way? I'm just saying that's a tough judgment from your position way back there. The spot of the fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough when you're looking through the back of a player and,
Yeah. So what we don't want to do is is spot the ball at where the ball hit the ground, even though we might kind of, from our position, recognize that as the spot of the fumble. He's running forward with a high rate of speed. So this ball is going to be propelled forward quite a ways. And that's just a really, really tough judgment. I think you put it back, I think you said 4 yards. So that's a lot better than where the ball hit the ground. What's interesting is too, Todd, don't you think I can just picture this being so confused when I get over to this headset here?
Yeah.
No, they were talking about a fumble. And then the replay official is talking about a pass.
Right.
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 And so just clear that up in games with instant replay. What's your protocol? So do you start with the ruling on the field, or are you asking what are you reviewing?
That's the first thing I'm doing is
Okay.
before I want to say what I'm reviewing when I make an announcement. I prefer to do that versus saying the previous play is under review and then just go to the headset. I like to try to give the audience a little bit of information on what are we reviewing. So I ask, what are we reviewing? And hopefully they'll tell me, well, the catch was really close to the ground. Then I'll make an announcement relative to that situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a good play that could really trip us up in many different ways. But if we're all doing our job, we've got a really good shot to nail this play. But we're at risk if we don't do our job.
Andy's a cool customer. You can see him just cool under pressure, just come
Exactly.
jog up, drop the bean bag, casually kill the clock.
Always been that way.
Right, exactly.
That's kind of your trademark, man. That's Mr. Warner doing his work.
Not so cool off the field.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if I said that out loud or not. I thought I was muted. Apologize.
Oh, you were muted? Yeah. No, sorry, you weren't. Back to camp. Oh, never mind. Wyoming at Boise. Hey, Andy, thanks for showing up at Boise camp for us, by the way. That was really – oh, never mind.
Well, you extended an invite, and then Tuta called me right after and said I was disinvited. So,
all right, man. So we're on the blue turf, Wyoming at Boise State. Always a fun matchup. What are we going to see here?
Well, we talk about being 100% on line of scrimmage fouls all throughout the game, but we also really want to nail spots, for 96 yards up and down the field. We do allow deep officials to try to figure out a spot 2 yards from the goal line, and that's always very interesting. But, we really want to hang our hat on getting spots right all the way up and down the field. So
you know why they do that, Andy, right? Because those
Why is
spots are
that?
typically very, very important to the process of a football game, and they leave it to those that really know what they're doing at that point of the game. So that's why we have those important spots. I didn't know if you ever do that, though.
I've always been wondering that, so I'm glad you cleared that up for me. This is, I think it's a third down play. Leading to this spot or whatever, and we're in a relative time sensitive situation. We really can't take any plays off in terms of really working on player movement and where they have the ball in relation to their body when they're holding it, when they may go out of bounds or go down to the ground. So we have to just make sure we're working all those different variables that determine a good spot every single play. And this one was, once again, you're trying to look through a player's body to really see where the ball is when his knee first I think his right knee hits first, maybe. I don't know if that's still above the ground but both of his knees hit short of the line with the ball in his possession, short of the line to gain. So we marked it short of the line to gain and in bounds, and then I had to go to review to make sure we were right or whatever. But this is how tight these spots can be, and how important they can be, really, in terms of extending a drive in a time-sensitive situation, or them having to punt the ball away to the other team.
So was this play reviewed, or did the coach challenge the spot?
This was reviewed immediately by replay, because it was third down play right at the line to gain. And then I think Boise State ended up taking a time out, so we had to add time back onto the clock because it continues to run right there.
Yeah.
Because they knew that Wyoming was going to punt the ball away, and they wanted to have as much time as possible.
Yeah, we could get into that if you want. This is just a really interesting judgment, and there's one replay that shows everything in real speed. It's just like unbelievably difficult if you're not focused and you're not prepared for this. So if you go to a scrimmage now, nobody goes to the ground, right?
True.
Nobody ever goes to the ground. So how do you prepare yourself to work these spots? And these are the spots that matter the most. It's at the end of the half. They need this first down to try to drive down and perhaps kick a field goal or whatever. These are big points, big spots in the game. But how do you work yourself to prepare? You talked about seeing the what arm the ball's in, the body mechanics of the runner. What is seriously like your detail and preparation and how you do this?
Because of what you're saying and not being able to work that stuff in preseason, our only option really, and we have no excuse to not be able to practice this by watching film. You want to be able to be ready for these tight spots, in your very first game. Not all of us have week 0 games like Daniel, but regardless of when you start, you got to be ready to be 100% on your spots. So I watch a lot of film, and, even when plays are happening, once my season does start, I'll mentally tell myself, hey, he had the ball in his right hand when he went out of bounds. And I'll practice my spots even when guys go out of bounds, because, the frame of the body could be the better part of a yard almost. So if he's carrying it in his right hand versus his left hand, it could really determine whether he's reached a line to gain when he's running out of bounds or whatnot. So I practice this stuff, once the season starts. If, as much as I've been able to do it before the season on video, I practice it on every single spot, like even when it's a nothing spot in my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome detail. And who would have thought, you got to know what arm he's carrying it in. And like you said, that can really impact, because if he's here, that is his most forward hand. But if you look at how different the spot would be if the ball was actually in his other arm, right? Because that other arm is trailing quite a significant distance. So
it could go from being, a football's length from the line to gain to a full yard short.
Full yard. Yeah. So really interesting coaches communication play to me. And, these are the things that I love to get into. So you said Boise took a timeout. Did they take a timeout once they knew the result of replay, or did they take a timeout before it went to replay?
So, it's important that we mechanically do things properly on the field. So I don't think this shows this or whatever, but I'm actively winding the clock.
Yes.
Showing that the player is short of the line to gain. So the other coach all the way on the other sideline knows that we have not reached the line to gain, if he has football acumen, but none of these guys are coaches if they don't understand what's going on. So if I'm winding the clock, that means he's down inbound, short of the line to gain. So we've got to make sure that we're on point when it comes to using our mechanics and our signals to be able to communicate to people all over the field. And so he told the line judge and the field judge that he wanted to call a timeout. and then we ended up going to replay. Unfortunately, the clock still is ticking and all that stuff, so that's why we had to make an adjustment.
Got it. So he was proactive with his timeout. He noticed your great mechanics in terms of winding the clock, and then good awareness on the other side of the field, right? So you can't take the play off. I mean, you can't take the play off. It goes to Andy's side, but like Corey, you're the deep guy on the other side. Let's say, man, you can't just take this play off and say, they got the ball over there. Your team is on this side that might be wanting that timeout if a ruling of, short of the line to gain is made. So
absolutely. And you need to kind of have that situational awareness that going into this play that, if Boise stops Wyoming short, Boise may want a timeout to preserve some clock going into halftime. So that's just kind of things you have to be aware of and to know where that head coach may be so you can look for a timeout. Or in this case, communicate the clock status. Hey, coach, he's in bounds. The clock is still hot. Maybe he doesn't see that, so he just needs to know that.
Yeah. So question here. What do you guys think about this? This is always interesting, timing out of replay. Let's say they don't call timeout and the clock runs like this, and then, the replay official communicates to the field that the play is under review. So actually what we see is the clock run down to 1 minute. That's when we stop it to go to review. Ruling on the field stands. So it is going to be 4th down, right? And remember now, let's pretend Boise never called that timeout. The defense didn't call the timeout. Are we doing anything with this clock at all out of the review if they did not call timeout? Are we resetting it to when he was down? Are we resetting it to anything? Are we running 10? Are we doing anything with this clock?
No, just keep it as it is.
Yep.
I'm with you, Corey.
Yep. Now, what if they say this? Say, you're okay. He's for sure short. Okay, well then we wanted a timeout when he was down.
No.
Can we go?
No.
Can we?
No.
Yeah. No. They got to be proactive.
Yeah, there's a long list of things I wanted to after a situation happened. You don't get your right.
Once you knew the answer, you wanted.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I knew what the lotto numbers were gonna be. So can I get that jackpot? Right.
Right.
That's kind of what we're saying here. So that's right. I mean, this clock is just going to stay. And some people have gotten into the trap. Let's say this stops with 59 seconds. Some people have gotten into the trap. Well, he's down in bounds. We stopped it. We're coming back out of replay. It's 59 seconds. We're under a minute. Some people have gotten into the trap that we're going to run 10.
Nope.
And why? And there's a really simple answer as to why we can't.
Because we're not changing. Yeah, we're not changing a stop clock to a running clock. It was a running clock. We're continuing it on as a running clock. So there is no change in clock status.
Yeah. And I
don't know if that's a simple answer you're thinking of, but that's the one that comes to my mind.
Yeah, it's even simpler. I mean, I got you on that. It's actually, if you don't change the ruling on the field, you cannot run 10, period.
Oh, yeah. Good point, yeah.
Right? So what's that, DY?
Got to be a reversal.
Got to be a reversal. Even less words. The ever eloquent. Question in the chat: Was there any communication to the other sideline saying he's short, so the message could be relayed to the Boise coach? There's a lot going on here, so tough to communicate. So Andy, you kind of answered that, and we don't need O2O, and we don't need really anything. You very simply, what did you do here to communicate what your ruling was?
Just like I was saying, we've got to really know what our other officials are doing by their signals. So if we can rely on each other to properly use signals to convey what's going on, then that line judge probably, if it was necessary, he could just simply see me winding the clock, which tells him that it's short of the line to gain. And if he had to tell the Boise coach, then he could have just simply said, hey, he's short of the line to gain and the clock's running.
Yep. And
the coaches are savvy enough that this is a situation where he knows he's going to want a timeout if they stop them short. So he probably is over there in the line judge's ear. Is he short? Is he short? He's probably already asking. So that's something that good mechanics. Obviously, Andy, when you're winding it, and then your partner officials on the other side of the field can see that you're winding it. You ain't killing it. So we know he's short. So, the coach, whatever question the coach has, we can easily answer it.
Agreed.
Yeah. So here's another scenario that I can think of, and I want to get you guys' opinion on how you would manage this. Let's say you actually ruled first down, okay, and it's this tight, but you got first down, and nothing's going to change in replay. But perhaps this coach all the way across the field, thought he was short, or just wanted him short, right? Biased eyes want him short. Okay. Now, let's say he runs out into an official's face, signaling timeout because he thinks it's going to be fourth down. But Andy Warner on the other side of the field actually ruled a first down. What are we doing with that timeout? Is he charged the timeout? Are we going to explain it? How would you guys handle that? In other words, the coach is actually kind of confused. Like, I think he's short. I want him to be short, so I'm going to call timeout to preserve as much time as possible. But then we tell him, no, it's a first down. So are we going to stick him with the timeout? Are we going to clarify the ruling and then kind of ask him if he still wants the timeout? This is a difficult thing, in my opinion. So how do you guys, what's your thought?
Man, that's
I don't ask I come up with these hard hitting questions, Corey.
No, I get it. And I mean, I think so. He calls the
He's
timeout.
trying to be as proactive as possible for exactly what this coach was doing.
Right.
But just change the situation slightly to where it's actually a first down. And he just wants it so bad to be short, and he wants to be as proactive as possible.
Well,
is he stuck with the timeout if he calls it or not?
Yeah, I believe he's stuck with it at that point. I mean, if he calls it right at the end of the play and then we come back and make the change out of replay?
No replay. Let's just say this.
Oh,
okay. I'll go into more detail of my what if. We rule first down.
In that scenario, I'll say, okay, coach, we have him as a first down over there because I see that Andy's killing the clock.
Right.
He's got him for a first down. Coach, it's 1st and 10. You still want that timeout. In that situation, maybe give them the opportunity to rescind that request because it doesn't make much sense. But if the replay scenario, then he's already called timeout. He doesn't get it back.
Yeah, and before you consult the coach, Corey, you may have to. If it's that tight to the sideline and I'm just simply cutting the clock,
right?
You have to go on 0-2-0 and say, hey, is he out of bounds or inbounds?
Right, correct. Yeah, make sure that you're not just out of bounds short or killing it for the first down, correct. Or inbounds to see if we're going to wind it up. So he may still want it. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's another really good point, right? Because he's in bounds here, perhaps. I mean, his knee's down in bounds. So if in the what if scenario where we rule it a first down, we got a lot of communicating to do because now the offense needs to know what we're going to do with the clock once the ball's ready for play as well. And how's that handled? We've talked about that.
I know a referee who screwed that up 2 times in one game.
Oh, really? Who's that?
He's going to stay nameless. He's going to remain nameless.
Anonymous.
Remain anonymous. He could be listening and hurt feelings. That's not what we're here for.
Well, I mean, that's a line of scrimmage and primarily line of scrimmage, but also deep wing topic, Andy, though. But so let's say you rule first down and, I guess here the offense is right behind you, but if the offense is on the other side of the field, first down inbounds, minute to go ish, what are you doing then?
I just turn to the referee and I kind of give him the little wind the finger signal, and then he usually at least tells the quarterback that he's going to wind it when when the ball is ready.
Yeah. I mean, I think we got to the point last year, a couple years ago, where we decided we want maybe that little wind to the referee to be a little bit more demonstrative. Separated from the actual action. So it's clearly in the dead ball. And when I say clearly, it's not like there's a whole lot of time that passes, but you're stepping out, kind of making yourself seen that, look, this clock's going to start on the ready, and
any of the referees that are on this call, there's a lot of things that, like when you've got a tight spot like this, the sideline, or a player going into the sideline that you got to get out, and just a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to admit that me telling the referee that we're winding the clock is not always the first thing that
Sure.
I'm doing when I come back to the sideline. So you should be on high alert as a referee whenever you see something going towards the sideline in a time sensitive situation. Just ask your line of scrimmage guy whether he's in or out, you know.
Yep.
You got anything else?
No.
Because I do.
Oh.
What about ball mechanics? So this is one of those things we always say, one ball mechanics. So in the world, same what if. Andy Warner rules this a first down in bounds. How are we managing this football?
We got time. See, that's the one that I really get aggravated when we start running around the field like chickens with our head cut off.
Yeah, with
This
the
is
dead
a first down. The clock is dead.
Yep.
Relax.
Take
Relax,
advantage of it.
man.
Yep.
Yes, just relax. Get the ball in however we need to. Spot the ball. We ain't gonna wind the clock up until the ball's on the ground, until the team's ready to go. Let's just, well, obviously within reason.
Right.
Let's just relax a little bit. We don't need to run around with this ball.
Okay, so let me just be more specific with the question. Are we using the traditional ball mechanics of circulating a new ball in from the side through the deep wing, or do we want somebody to go grab this ball and somewhat urgently
I don't
move
care.
to put the ball
I
down?
literally would not care.
Okay.
I just want the ball to get put down, a ball to get put down in the middle field. And I actively get on the O2O and say, we have time. It's a first down.
Okay.
We can slow down. I literally say that. So whatever they do, if they want to bring a new one in, who cares? I really don't care on this situation because the clock has stopped.
It's a temporary stop.
Yeah.
It's not like it's an incomplete
Well, we
pass.
ain't gonna get a ham sandwich, but
Right.
but we're gonna get
Okay,
the
good. I wouldn't advise
No fruit
getting a ham
cups?
sandwich at this juncture. Yeah.
You
How
know,
about a
and as the line of scrimmage official, if you could add some sort of calmness to this whole situation and know whether we've got a hot clock or a dead clock. I mean, I was crewed up with a guy named Scott Teifer, who's one of my favorite people. And he'd been officiating for 100 years, but he would still run around in these time-sensitive situations when the clock was dead, like the clock was hot and his head was on fire, you know. And so I would just simply have to remind him, hey, the clock's dead, you know. Let's just all regroup and take our time, and we can afford to, if the ball kind of rolled away, we can get another ball or whatever. We just don't really need to be freaking out in situations like that.
I think Scotty he's like a Mack truck though. Once he gets up to speed, it's hard for him to throttle down at that.
True.
So
That's true.
Well, nobody's really going to tell him anything that he's pretty much going to take control of any situation. That guy he was
I worked with a
awesome.
lot of umpires. He was probably the best at controlling the middle of the football field.
Oh
from
my
the umpire
gosh.
position. He was so good with that. His rapport with the players, his presence was just something that everybody knew when Scott was on the game. And it was just, I wish more umpires would emulate that.
He was an artist.
There it is. We even got to a Scott Teifer reference. That is just awesome.
That's cool.
Andy, how you doing? You hanging in there, man?
I'm good, just as long as, I'm sure we've got some officials that have fallen asleep, but, we've got a couple more boring plays that we can go through. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool how you can take, these line of scrimmage intense situations and roll into, all these situational things we're talking about. What's this rivalry called?
Sunflower Showdown.
Sunflower.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't think I knew that.
Strike
Sunflower
slip
Showdown.
and man.
Toughest name of a rivalry that you could ever come up with.
All right, so we have.
Tell you what, those players better start cutting up with Andy Warner over there.
Andy doesn't know how to protect the quarterback. What's going on?
Yeah.
Look at the quarterback. Andy, protect the quarterback.
Hey, what
man.
would Scott Teifer have done in this situation? Don't have
Somebody would have got MF'd, I promise you that.
Yep.
And he
All
might have
right.
thrown
Mr. Order. We've got. Is that clear and obvious for a late hit out of bounds? I think that's clear and obvious. So you've got that, and then we've got all this other stuff that happens, and then all mayhem breaks loose. So how did this go down?
Well, first of all, going back to, I think, our first play or whatever, and talking about feeling that pressure and how quickly it can develop and creating depth on the sideline, in an optimal situation, I would have liked to have had a lot more depth so that this wouldn't have just felt so much in my lap like it did, and from a safety standpoint, obviously, as well. But basically, I wanted to show this play so that it could generate some conversation for, the referees or the center judges that are possibly following a quarterback into the sideline, as well as, us as line of scrimmage officials. And all three of us had a flag up. The quarterback looks like he's dead on this play, by the way.
Yeah.
But, and then trying to read a hot spot, like an obvious hot spot like this is, and getting to players before it breaks out into something more serious, I think is pretty paramount. So if you can do that, then you can possibly prevent, something really nasty from going down, if you can separate players quick enough.
It looked like the crew did a great job getting control of this really quickly.
Yep.
Because this could have really gotten bad, but I think the crew did a really great job with your leadership, Andy, of course.
Yeah, I was directing everyone, but I mean, you even see the center judge, the back judge, umpire. They build this like little wall just to try and get those players out of there and stuff. So, regardless of where you're at, unless you're all the way on the other sideline, there's some situations where you may have to, kind of get over there and help diffuse these types of situations. So as a referee, Brandon and Tuta, you guys are just looking down the line if you're able to get that far out when something like this happens, or what?
I'm not looking down the line at all. I would hope to know that his foot hit out of bounds. And I also would, at the end, you can tell that he was giving himself up. So he was no longer going north-south. He was going east-west. So pretty much any contact, any forcible contact after that point is going to be a foul. You can just see. Now he's gone east-west after he's already out of bounds. But yeah. I don't know. On a play like this, I have no idea where he is in relation to the sideline, if that's what you're asking me. And I probably wouldn't be that close to him, honestly. I'm a referee that probably needs to move a little bit more than I do. I work more with my eyes than my feet. So I would just be evaluating what's this dude doing and what are the defenders doing as they're coming into his body. And is the contact avoidable? And this one, clearly the contact was avoidable.
Well, I heard you were racing players this past weekend.
Oh no, that was just working on sprints. But I wasn't racing nobody. I was just showing my natural speed.
Well, I heard you were in with the offensive linemen and we're getting laughed.
Dusted.
Yeah.
Oh no. I beat every single lineman that wanted to run against me.
Huh. Well, that's not the portrayal of that I heard, but okay, good.
That's not what I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. What about this reaction by number 20 of the offense? That's the white jersey, hitting the guy who hit the quarterback. That's a pretty good acting job there. So yeah, that's what's so hard about these is when these things happen, it can really catch you off guard. But so I know that we see at the end of this clip, the ball is clearly penalized. So where we penalize the defense, we did not penalize the offense at all, if I'm not mistaken. Right. How did you guys arrive at that conclusion?
Both the alternate, who's over there in an all black outfit, and myself actually saw the flop of that player. I mean, the guy's like, 300 pounds or something like that. So both of us luckily saw that. Otherwise, if you get eyes on that pretty late, who knows whether we would think that rose the level of a foul as well or not,
Yeah. Okay. So that's excellent. I mean, so you guys saw that he completely flops. He instigated it. And then always the fabulous debate that we have, UNR or UNS for the hit to the quarterback.
UNR.
Yeah.
That's football.
That's football.
Yeah, I mean, it's dirty, it's cheap, it's late, whatever you want to call it. It's just a late hit out of bounds. But it's a football act.
Our alternate afterward was, he's like, I was just in self-preservation mode at that point.
Yeah. Okay, another question here that comes up if you watch this play is number 7's laying on the ground like he's been assaulted more than just physically, like almost shot. So he's back in the game.
Yeah.
Was there any thought about, is he injured? Is he not? Should he have been able to play here the next play? Any discussion there?
There definitely was discussion. Kansas didn't want him to be able to play this next play. Our referee had pretty much determined that we stopped the clock to administer. Well, first the player was out of bounds, and we stopped it to administer the foul. And in his mind, he was able to, after being down for a couple seconds, he got up under his own power, and he just said that it was fine for him to play. So philosophically, it's kind of black or kind of a gray area. It's not black and white on how you determine whether someone is injured on the play or not. And I've never thought about that before until this play.
It's a really interesting thought. The defense causes all this with this obvious foul. So I feel like, I don't know if you guys disagree, but I feel like if you're going to have one way or another to lean, I would probably side with the referee's decision.
I think I would determine it based on, and look, no trainers are even over there. Maybe they don't like that dude.
That's the thing.
Right.
Like they just let him lay there and die. But
he's like an
if
8-year senior too, I think, or something like that. So
right, they were like, all right, he'll be fine.
Yep.
Had trainers gone and start taking care of the dude, I think at that point in time he's injured and he's gonna have to sit out. But if no trainer does anything, he just gets helped up or he just gets up on his own, I'm good with letting him play the next play.
Yeah.
So good point, though. Another, we can bounce a lot of points around off that. So if he walks out onto the field, we may just want to take a look at his eyes or something and just make sure he's got all of his faculties.
Absolutely.
And so here's the thing, like that's a great point about the trainers. My guess is if he's laying like that in the middle of the field.
All right, there's the trainer.
Yeah. So trainers attend to him, but it's really in the team area after he gets viciously hit late, which is obviously a foul out of bounds. So, but if he gets hit like this in the middle of the field and goes down and the trainers come all the way out to the middle of the field,
no question.
He's got to go out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No question.
So it's a little bit of a matter of circumstance, really.
It is. And we're certain to think about it. We're sorting out what's going on with all of the crap. So we honestly we're not even paying attention to him much at that point in time. So we don't know to what degree he's being helped by trainers. We don't know, when does he come back in? I'm sure maybe somebody's watching that, but in general, most of the crew is really focused on fixing the mess that's on the field.
Yeah, and here's a topic I know we have absolutely never, ever, ever discussed on virtual study groups, and we probably never will again. But like at this game, there would be a medical observer who's probably really looking at this player. And so certain games do have the ability to be stopped by somebody. I don't even know where they sit. I think it's usually by replay. If a medical observer feels this player is not equipped to play the next play, they have power to shut the game down and notify us that number 7 should be pulled out of the game for a medical stoppage. So that's very interesting. Which, by the way, happened to me 0 times.
Yeah. Right. So I was going to say that's akin to simultaneous possession, right? 2 times.
Yeah. And aiding the runner too.
Yeah.
Man, all these plays, you can talk about so many concepts on all of these plays. Did you guys know Andy Warner was able to pull plays of this quality? This is incredible.
He had somebody, I think Mark helped him with these.
Yeah.
Had to be.
There's a question about how much leeway we have with players and coaches leaving a team bench to kind of.
Well, I think that's where how you guys manage this shows, pristinely, because you guys get in there so quick that, you really take control of it. Yeah, there's coaches, but I think there are coaches pulling their own players out of there. So,
yeah,
man, I personally, as a sideline official, I'm going to give a little more leeway in that situation. Now, if this happens on Kansas sideline and there's Kansas coaches coming there trying to grab opponents, that's a different story. But we have to just manage it. I don't think we want to necessarily start, tossing flags on everybody. But I think if we get in and have a presence like you all do right here, I think this is a testament or an example of what we should be doing in these situations to avoid having to throw unnecessary flags for UNS.
All right. That's a really good question, by the way, because I think that's very difficult. But we don't want to overreact in these kinds of situations to that. All right.
Oh, this play made it. All right. This will be fun.
The Corey Luxner play.
Gator Bowl, baby. So talk about coach communication. So we'll get a lot about coach communication here. We can go targeting process. We can do whatever you want, but I'm wondering, what was kind of your why did you want to put this play on, just to start with, Andy?
Well, obviously we have a sliding quarterback, so to know when a quarterback is down by rule, when he's going into that sliding motion. I also wanted to bring it up in terms of how to properly conduct yourself as a sideline official when your other official, whether it's a line of scrimmage or deep official, is really just being, verbally not attacked, but really just it's coming from all directions, and how to actively be a teammate to your official on the sideline to kind of really help peel coaches off or create a little bit of separation so that we can kind of get to the bottom of things and figure things out. I don't like to give any of you guys a compliment, but the way Corey conducted himself on this play was just, it was tremendous. I have a baseball background, and we do a lot of this rodeo type jockeying with trying to get coaches off other officials when they're in pretty deep conversations and stuff like that. And it was awesome having Corey on my sideline to kind of help with this situation. So, and then I had two officials on this play that were trying to get me to pick up the foul because they were convinced, just like the coach, that the defender had gone over the top of the quarterback without making contact. So, there's a lot of things.
Andy, help us out. What did you call? Tell us what you called.
So I called unnecessary roughness, late hit on the quarterback.
Okay.
Basically, from a visual standpoint, I didn't see the contact of his elbow to the helmet. I've never done this before, but our old supervisor had pretty much said that we have to use all of our senses really when we're officiating the game. And sometimes, sound will help you officiate plays and stuff like that. And there was a tremendously loud noise when this guy went over the top of the quarterback. And so I knew that he had physically made serious contact with the quarterback. I just didn't know in what capacity.
Right.
So
you guessed like most of your plays.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
But I reported that to the referee who was following the play, and you guys can speak to the what you guys are looking at when you're following the quarterback or whatever. But he was pretty much 100% convinced that there was absolutely no contact when the defender went over the quarterback.
Oh wow. Okay. So that conversation, you came in. He said, "Oh, what you got?" And you said, "Unnecessary personal foul, unnecessary roughness." And he said, "So yeah, I don't want to." How did that conversation go? Because that's interesting.
He had pretty much said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there was no contact on it, so I'd recommend picking this flag up." And so as we continued to try to talk, and this coach is going crazy on the sideline, that's when you see Corey come down and try to, at least offer a little bit of interference. Then the center judge comes over, and I asked the center judge if he saw whether there was any physical contact, and he said it appeared to him that the defender went over the top of him without making contact as well.
Stuck with your call still after that. Is that correct? Or did you end up picking the flag up?
I stayed down with my flag for unnecessary roughness or late hit on the quarterback, and
Wow.
and then and the coach was pretty much saying that there was absolutely no contact right around now and all that stuff, and basically right when I think I started to walk away, we got paid, or right when Kevin made the announcement, that's when replay paged and said that they wanted to look at the targeting aspect of the foul.
Wow.
So
That's
I did not
pretty
call
confident of you to stay with your flag on that, Andy, which is I mean, that's cool.
Awesome.
I love that because, you know, if you have a foul,
Especially when you're just guessing.
exactly.
It's incredible.
Well, when you're used to guessing as an official, you're able to be more confident than if you just do it every
Just like you told those other officials, tell these guys to, shut the what up, Andy. This is a great call. So
That's great officiating. That's really
No, it is because the thing is, everyone knows the referee is quote unquote protecting the quarterback. The referee is watching the quarterback,
Yeah.
and the referee is coming to tell Andy, Andy, there was no contact there. We need to pick this up. And Andy said, no, I know what I heard. I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I know what I heard. So we're going to stick with this flag, and that's pretty, that's pretty strong. I love it, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think, kind of the elephant in the room here is Mr. Luxner, who happens to be with us, as he always is. So how did this go down from your perspective?
Well, first
Can I jump in real quick, Corey, for you
Yeah.
first? The first thing is Corey was wearing Terminator shades, and that coach wanted no part of that.
right.
None. That's clear and obvious.
I wish
Yeah,
I
I
had
mean-
those glasses on now. When I
Then
look back.
Corey, take it away for the rest of it.
I can mean mug him, and he doesn't know that I'm doing it because of my shades. So
I love it.
I love it. The first, obviously we have a pretty big collision. I mean, you could tell there's contact, there's a pile up, and so then I see Andy just immediately get jumped from this coach, and so my first inclination is to go up there and just kind of referee this this matchup, if you will. I felt kind of like Mills Lane for a sec because I thought it looked like everyone was a little kind of getting high temperature and high blood pressure, so I just go up there to kind of diffuse it, to be to protect Andy, number one, so that he doesn't get sucked into something that he doesn't want any part of, to not get involved in that emotion, and just kind of let the coach go off, but just to say, hey coach, just calm down, we'll sit here and we'll talk about it. And then as I'm standing over there, the referee, they brought me into the conversation asking, because I don't know if they were looking for a tiebreaker or what on the vote process, but they asked, did you see any contact? And to that point, I told the referee, and Andy's like, I didn't see anything. I had two matchups right in front of that when the supposed contact occurred, and I had no help with them, and that's all I could tell them in that point. And then I went back to letting the coach chew on me, and he said, well, watch the play. And we have big screens in some of these stadiums, so I'll use them. And I was like, okay, coach, I'll watch it with you. Let's watch, because he's adamant. Oh, he flew right over the top of him. I was like, well, coach, we're gonna watch this video together. We'll find out. And when they showed it on the jumbotron, I was like, well, coach, your player's elbow hits him in the head pretty viciously, so there's definitely contact. He didn't like that answer, obviously, because he's coming from a biased standpoint. But I was like, coach, you asked me to watch a video. That's what I see on this. And that's when he kind of walked away, and I think he knew that he was fighting a losing argument, but they're coaches, they're going to fight that all night long.
Going back to what Corey was saying, you can see he comes down when we're a few yards off the sideline, and we're trying to have a conversation about what we really have, and That's why I think it was such a big help for him to recognize this and come down to make sure that the coach stays on the sideline, so I don't have to leave that conversation and get the coach back to the sideline or whatever. I can just focus on trying to piece this thing together, and really I think it helped us, or helped me, mentally get through the process and really know that I had a foul because I didn't have to deal with the coach.
Can I just say that there are so many elements about this play that I'm absolutely in love with. This might have to be a weekly play. I love the young lady behind coach who is just clowning Andy like he has no idea. He's never officiated a play in his life. Look at her. She's talking so bad about him.
But the thing is she doesn't understand that my wife and daughters do that to me every single day.
Also, can I finish?
Bother me,
I love Andy goes Dana Holgerson on coach for like a split second there. If you're paying really, really close attention, he goes to get him some just for a second there. Additionally, I love that we grab our flag with our right hand and we've got this overhand grip, and we maintain that overhand grip on our flag all the way throughout our motion. So we really just delicately, almost effeminately toss it in the air, maintaining that overhand grip. There's just a lot to like about this play, a lot to like that don't really have anything at all to do with officiating.
Are you done?
I've just watched this over and over, and I'm just dying to myself. I had to get it out. I've been wanting to say this for so long. And then on top of all of that, just an incredibly well officiated play. So that's really cool too.
Yep. So
Targeting?
yeah. What about
let's talk about that.
Going through the targeting process here? Defenseless player, obvious, right?
Yeah, clear
Check.
and obvious.
Okay, he's giving himself up. So indicator, and then obviously that's element 2, and then the forcible contact component is element 3. So how do you want to break down element 2?
Indicator.
This is really interesting.
Well, let's ask Andy. I mean, he heard it. He didn't see it, obviously. But
if I would have called targeting on the field, I'm pretty sure the coach would have murdered me.
Corey wasn't going to let Terminator wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah. I felt like Secret Service there for a while. Andy was the POTUS.
That's right. Eagle 1.
It's interesting from the element 2 standpoint, because the player, he really did a good job hiding the fact that he threw an elbow at the dude's head. I mean, he made it look like he was just diving over the top. But I think that one of those sideline replays, I can kind of see a striking motion with his elbow. But I would be really hard pressed to call that an indicator of targeting, unfortunately. But I don't know.
I don't see it at all as an indicator. I think he is jumping over the top. I'm not going to go as far as say this is incidental contact, but I don't think he's taking aim, for the purpose of going above and beyond making a normal football play. So I don't see a really taking aim component here. I think he is trying to miss him.
Well, he wasn't trying to miss him with that elbow.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to go as far to say as it's incidental contact. And by the way, even if it was incidental contact, it would still be a foul, because if there's force above the head to a sliding quarterback, regardless of the timing of that slide in relation to the hit, sliding runners. I keep saying quarterbacks. Sliding runners who give themselves up are protected from forcible contact to the head neck area. So that's, incidental or not, if it's forcible to his head, then we're going to make that call for UNR, which is the call here.
Correct.
So, but I mean, if you just put in the context of what the rule says for the indicator, which is taking aim above and beyond, blah, 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 that all those words, I just don't think you see that here, but that's my opinion.
So where I would struggle with that little conversation, that short conversation rather you guys just had, is if we feel like it's not incidental, meaning he intentionally used the elbow to strike,
Right.
I don't know how that's not an indicator. So if you're saying, look, that's incidental, I don't see him intentionally using his forearm/elbow to strike the head of the defenseless player.
Yeah.
I can ride with that. But I think if your
Well,
judgment is
maybe what I'm saying is the force component
I
doesn't
think
rise
that's
the
what you're
level of
going to.
targeting. I
Yeah.
I can go with you there if you want to go there.
okay.
One of these two between element 2 and element 3, there's a no. Okay. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I'm just, you know me, I'm pretty rigid with our 1, 2, and 3 categories.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we see a lot of players with amazing abilities like this to miss. So I hear what you guys are saying. I mean, he really didn't miss with the elbow. So is that really an indicator, taking aim, that goes above and beyond the normal football playing action? I don't know.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that
No,
one too.
no, it is. You don't use your elbow to tackle. So if he intentionally is using his elbow or forearm to strike the player in the head, that's absolutely an indicator. Gotta
You
be.
make a good point.
Okay, I agree with that too, Dan.
You make a really good point. Okay, so then let's say it is. So now, do you have this with force to the head neck to rise to the level of targeting?
I don't think it's forcible enough.
Yeah.
Which is hard to say because it kind of snaps that head. But I also think he sees that, and it's kind of him just like it. Just I don't think it's forcible enough. It's almost glancing.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's too far. Maybe the other way, because I absolutely agree. It rises to the level of a UNR.
Yes.
Well, if you ask Andy's ears, it wasn't very glancing.
Well, that's true too.
Andy's ear got the correct call grade, I guess, which is okay.
Yeah.
I like
So
UNR.
that
based
is
on
a piece
category
of
3.
officiating there where the whole world was against you. Obviously, not only the coach, but your partner officials, your crewmates kind of disagreed with you, and it was pretty cool to see you stick with the call.
Well, he just simply says like, "Hey, I'm Andy Warner, so we're going to go with this."
Without the sunglasses too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that usually goes really far when I do that.
No, I mean that. In all seriousness, that's really just, I think, like just when we talk about owning your position and have confidence, because it's easy there.
Yes.
I think, Andy, to say, I didn't see it. I'm using what I know about football to make this decision. But these other two guys clearly are competent officials, and I can just pick this up. And guess what? They told me to, so I'm kind of off the hook here. And rather than do that, you just went with what you knew was right. I'm impressed.
Well, I was definitely wavering for sure when I was outnumbered. So
I'm sure.
you know,
You finally won Daniel over, Andy. It took you how many years?
No. I just like this play. This one play.
You got in the win column, Andy. I'm not going to say you won anything.
I'll take it.
I'm on Team Warner. Always have been.
Yeah, it's hard not to be. All right. So Andy gave us his birthday. And so what we did is we used the month of his birthday to go to the week of last season. And we used the day of his birthday to go to the play. All right. So this is week. I'm not going to give out your birthday, but this is week whatever of the month of your birthday. And then this is your game. And this is play whatever of the day of your birthday. And I don't even remember what your birthday is, so I don't even care. But that's what the methodology was.
Nobody does.
It's really advanced.
Yeah, it sounds like my wife.
Scientific formulas here. Yeah, I mean this is great. So we are. This is what happens when you pull random plays.
Oh, that wing back is interesting this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is a run right for 2 yards.
This is
So we'll let it loop. I don't know if you want to talk or you have an idea about the wing back maybe you want to bring up.
Well,
You know, when
yeah,
I saw
because
this play that this was the one that you added because of my birthday, I was like, I feel bad for everyone who's actually tuning in and watching this because they will learn absolutely nothing.
But here's
Except
the whole idea is you can pull a random play and you can break it down officiating wise in a lot of different ways. And Mr. Tutal over here already has something he wants to talk about.
no, not no more. I saw the end zone view.
Oh.
He's not even close. He's clearly inside the tackle box.
Okay.
So that's not even interesting.
Man, I thought you had something.
It's not even interesting. How about those red numbers on Team B? What about that?
Yeah, I mean, we could go jersey violations. Man. We got
Let's
the
dig into
whole
that.
rule book. We got the whole rule.
No, well, let's start with this, Andy. Your dude at the bottom in your pre-snap routine, the defensive linemen are aligned a little bit differently, and I'm guessing, how do you map out those players? Is there something that you map out, and what are you talking to yourself about with those defensive linemen pre-snap?
The main thing that we do is, and I don't know if this answers your question, to be honest or not, but in terms of defenders that are tight with their alignment to the line of scrimmage, we notate that prior to the snap. Because if they have any movement, regardless of whether they're, out of their stance or anything, any forward movement, they're in the neutral zone in terms of our philosophy, just because of their initial alignment at the snap.
So, like, we use the term crowding, right?
Yeah.
Are any of these players crowding?
That the right tackle at the bottom, he would be on high alert possibly for just a rolling start possibly. But, all of their alignment compared to some other teams, I mean, these guys are all aligned pretty well off the ball.
Rolling start. Can you define that for those of us that may not quite understand what that means?
So a guy that's not really down in a 3 or 4 point stance, and it's usually these guys, that are defensive ends on the end of the line. Mm-hmm. They, they'll kind of get like a walking start to try and time the snap, and that's where it makes it very difficult for us to see whether they're legitimately in the neutral zone when the snap goes off or whether they're good. So, if there's a guy that's somewhat close to the line of scrimmage and he is trying to get this rolling start to time the snap, then we'll put him in the neutral zone.
And he does show the defensive end towards the bottom of the screen shows a little bit of that. I mean, he's moving before the ball.
Yeah.
But since you've mapped him as not crowding, you can easily make this judgment every single time that this is not a foul for defense offside, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's easy for me, but correct.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have a process to get there. You're not just kind of showing up and saying, okay, I got to know exactly what, how much he's in the neutral zone at what time. I mean, you have a process that is going to statistically put you towards the right answer almost 100% of the time.
Like a cheat code.
Yeah. So when you have a full house backfield like this, you know that I don't know. Are you thinking run pass at all? Do you think run pass at all, or do you use down and distance? Do you use formation? What do you do there?
The back, the up back or whatever number he is, 89 or whatever. If there is someone that's a little further up in formation than all three of the other guys, right after the snap, I will kind of try to just glance at him, but we do treat all these guys basically like a bunch. So if they were all flexed, we would kind of be looking at all of them. But because that guy's pushed up a little bit, I kind of want to get a visual on him, potentially blocking low, so potentially committing a chop block when someone else is engaged, or if he's trying to release through one of those, like the A gap or something like that, and then someone grabs him and pulls him down. So just because he's the first that will be threatened, I kind of glance at him right after the snap.
Interesting. That's really good insight for that type of formation. Okay, now you've got here interesting look because left tackle is kind of, I don't know. I mean, that almost looks like pass block to me. Left guard is firing out to the second level.
Yeah.
So at this point, do you have any thoughts going through your mind in terms of where you want to put your eyes at?
I would have most likely read run immediately after the snap, just because of all the rest of the linemen. But you'll get these teams that will do this stuff where some guys make it appear like they're gonna have a pass play, and some guys make it look like that's what this RPO stuff is all about. So we try to talk about not reading run too early, but I think I get wrapped up many times in reading a run too early. It's difficult for me to get away from that.
Okay. And so if I had to put some arrows up, where would you hope that your eyes are just kind of now? And I know this isn't really it's not completely fair, but I still think it's beneficial. So you could be on that left tackle's block. You could be kind of out in this area. You could be honest and admit you're watching the ball. I'm just kidding. But really, where do you hope you're looking kind of now? Because this is kind of an important part of the play as it develops.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I might have still, even though that guy, when you freeze frame it right here, it looks like that guy's running in space, the guy that I was initially looking at. But when he's going up into the formation, into the interior line play, that's when I really want to have eyes on him. So I just don't know if I would have transitioned off of him yet, especially when a run is going to the other side.
I think it's a great answer. Hopefully we know that our umpire is all over this block, right? This second level block right here.
Yeah.
I mean, crew of 8 for sure.
Right. Back judge, crew of 7.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
So, I think you're good. I mean,
probably back judge, crew of 8 also.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, full house backfield for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's the first threat. That's a great point too. So, but that's a good point you make, that you have to notice that this player, even though he is, quote, not, I mean, we freeze frame it and nobody's around, but he is a threat. So nobody else is going to be watching that player but you, or really have any recollection of him. Yes, I think we do want deep wings, right, Corey, kind of helping inside on these types of plays when there's nothing at all going on with your receiver, like here, and all the action is inside and going away from you.
Absolutely. I mean, this is our picture perfect example of when we are afforded an opportunity to read the play and then let our vision go to where we're needed, and that would be at the second level here. All the while knowing where our key will be coming from, but that's that player is also going to take us into this action just in this play alone. I mean, the top receiver, he doesn't do anything, so the top deep wing can help as well. So we should have, all 3 deep officials should be helping with the second level stuff at this point.
Because here's what's really interesting about plays like this. These blocks right here are very important to these plays, right? Because there's certainly a lot of time and space for the ball to go out wide, or to be able, out here, or to be able to turn up here, or even to be able to potentially cut back depending on what happens. So we can't just discount these second level blocks. And that's why it's really important that the deep wings and other officials work to get inside right here where if they have the opportunity to. And I mean, look at this. Look at their technique. We should immediately notice that they've got hands outside shoulders.
Correct.
Yeah.
Multiple players.
Yeah.
If you go to the end zone, Brandon, the right guard's block is really interesting.
Okay.
And we had a good conversation on our crew about where are we starting, where are our eyes. And you would think that the umpire in this situation would have started on that right guard matchup as well, because that's the player in the A gap. But as a referee, that's where I'm going to start. because I start inside and then move outside as necessary. And with that being a running play, that block is really important. And we can see that he kind of grabbed him a little bit, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with that outside hand. But there's a lot of twisting action going on. So, but then again, another thing that we need to consider, we can't just freak out and just start throwing flags, because take a look at the defensive tackle from the other side who slanted downward. He's knocking all into players. So we got a bunch of players that's all on top of each other. So that really could impact how 55's blocking action ends up. Because you can see a little bit of a twist there. But then we got the defender who went in there and causing a lot of action too. So we got to see all that kind of that detail. But that is where, for me as a referee, where I want to be looking.
Yep, good point. So yeah, you want to be looking there, but then I mean, you got to transition away. You got to make a decision on that right now.
Correct.
And then whatever your decision is, we got to transition, because quarterback has the ball, but what else? This guy is unopposed.
That's
so
correct.
Who knows what's going to happen next, but that's definitely the referee's next best primary read.
Right.
And then
And
and literally nothing happens.
Right.
Yeah,
Nothing
you guys
happened.
successfully made this a lot more of a play than I really thought it was. So good job.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Go back to the very, very beginning.
What's that, DY?
Go back to the very beginning of the clip.
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay.
We haven't had a lot of conversation about DOD, but we don't necessarily need to force it for no reason.
Oh,
Yeah, we already forced quite a bit on this play.
Yeah.
So one weird question I did have for you as the line of scrimmage official: when this ball goes away from you, are you at all worried about this spot based exactly on what we see here? No what ifs. We've done that all night. This quarterback is going out at an angle. This runner is going out at an angle. So are you at all worried about, helping with any spot here?
not at all. Anytime we have a player going out of bounds, it's 100% that line of scrimmage official's responsibility up there.
Okay.
So you just take this play off, huh, Andy? You just
So after I cleared that first block that I was talking about, really, as this play is a stretch play away from us, we really want to focus on all of the interior linemen's backside blocks. Maybe I would have worked back to that guy that you were talking about earlier, and just making sure that, there's nothing nasty going on backside. We've seen clips, we've seen all kinds of pretty nasty blocks when it's really far away from the play that you could easily just not notice if you're looking at the ball carrier across the field.
Yeah, what's interesting is when you turn into cleanup mode, you almost have more quote unquote keys than anybody else, because you're responsible there. You're responsible for perhaps what this guy might do. Maybe this guy, bashes that guy's head in. What's going to happen here? Obviously, we've seen this play. Nothing happens, but this is all of your responsibility as the backside cleanup official, because people at the point of attack are focused more on specific actions, right?
Yeah, some of those deeper players moving around, kind of like Corey was saying, he's going to be visually looking at some of those deeper guys. We try to look more towards the original line of scrimmage players, knowing that those guys are going to be looking down there. But yeah, it's two people that have a whole lot of people that they're looking at, really.
All right. We got as much out of that play as we could. So that was a good job.
Nice work. Nice work.
The other good job was your input on this session, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep. Good job, Andy.
As always, I'm appreciative that you guys give me a call and invite me along. I love doing these things, so thank you.
Awesome plays too, man. Thanks for bringing them.
Even the one that you said you were really impressed by me in particular, not just the play.
That's my favorite play I think I've ever seen of all time. There's so many things I love about that play.
We have can somebody end this session with a Bradford Edwards quote? You guys see this? Michael Cole put the. This must be
It's
from the Bruins.
HD. No, not that quote.
No, we know a lot of Bradford Edwards quotes, but here is one of the best ones. I think.
Presence.
Yeah, there's that. So I think he was talking about Crowders.
Yeah, when the dude is crowding the line, defender is crowding the line.
Yeah.
Oh
He
yeah.
calls them farters.
Yep.
They fart,
If he
they're in.
farts, he's in.
That's Bradford. All right. We're out of here. DY, go show us how it's done. Week 0.
I'm so
Yep.
excited.
Can't
Fired up.
wait to watch you in action.
Yeah. I'm looking
He
forward
may have
to
an
it.
inadvertent whistle in week 0. I'm just going to
Oh
go.
my gosh.
Wow.
You don't say that. What is
Wow.
wrong with you? Yeah. Really.
Oh, man.
This guy has no chill at all. No.
That was a great ssion.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a
That
good
was
one.
fun.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a great
guys.
weekend.
All right.
Take care.